Hello everybody, welcome to Making It Monday. And I've just heard my phone ping, so let me just switch that off because otherwise that'll ping all evening. Yes, welcome to Making It Monday, and today we're making Egbert here, appropriately titled because of course he is a carrier of eggs. And perfect little Easter make. Look at that, super cute. I love it that we've got like bunny ears here, and of course we've got this one. Now I brought that out of my stash of samples because that's the bunny bag that we made last year, and I've also got the carrot here that we made last year as well. So if you're into an Easter theme, these two are brilliant, and that is the teeny tiny bag. So if you're wondering what all these things are, and I'll go over them a little bit later, but yeah, so I've got a little assortment of goodies that you can make from Mims for Easter, for little baby Easter eggs, and I think it's super cute. Now in the pictures you'll have seen that it obviously opens up because it's just like a little mini, it's like a basket more than a bag, and then you can cross it over and thread it through, a bit like a, oh, I can't remember the name of the bag that threads through. Anyway, that one. So you can just have it on the side like that. And if you're using Easter fabrics, it looks obviously even better. But actually you can tie these. So actually, and I think you might have seen in the pictures, these will tie, and it makes a kind of like a little mini Japanese knot bag. It has got a boxy bottom to it to make it sit nicely. I did ponder on the fact of leaving the corners pointed, and it's quite a wide boxy bottom, so you could make it narrow if you want to, but I thought it just wouldn't sit well. I think you'd have to squidge it a bit. And because of the shape of the pattern piece, and you'll see in a minute, those that have already downloaded it, thank you. Those who have paid for it, thank you very much. And I expect our Goldies, or the Japanese knot bag, yes, of course, Lynn, that's the words I was thinking of. But also you can tie it, so it's actually, the Japanese really like to wrap their gifts in fabric. Normally it's just literally a knotted square or something like that. But I quite like the idea of it, but I wanted it to be multifunctional, and even though it's tiny, obviously it's tiny, that's the idea. Mims are meant to be small. Mims aren't meant to be massive great projects that are going to take you days and days and days. Mims are really designed for you to make up in an afternoon, and I just love the fact that we've got kind of, first of all, when I showed my girls, Adrian and Abigail, can't remember which one it said, but one of them said it could be a representative of hot cross bun, so you could serve a hot cross bun in it. I think that's actually quite a nice idea. So you could make it as a hot cross bun bag. I like that very much. Or of course it's it could be representative of your religion. Let's just perhaps ponder on that one. After all, that's what Easter is supposed to be about. But also I think it's just quite a nice little quirky little bag. It's like I say, it's more like a basket than a bag. You can see the shape of it when it's undone. But the idea was that you can either knot it or just kind of plait it together and just make a little bag. It's actually, for something that's simple, the actual design of it is that little bit more complicated than you think. And there are some twists and turns in the pattern that you might be surprised about. So from something that looks really simple initially, actually there's one or two little quirky bits in this. And for those of you that have downloaded the pattern, had a look at it, you probably are very confused by some of the pictures and some of the instructions, because like a lot of things, sometimes it's very difficult to explain in words unless we write reams and reams of words how things are made. And the idea of Making It Monday pattern is that it's kept at £1. It's kept incredibly affordable because you get the pattern and you get my instruction on how to make it, which, you know, you're getting the pattern and a video for £1. So in actual fact it's really good value for money, and that's how I've always wanted it to be. So so where you've got the pattern, where sometimes it leaves you scratching your head, and we always put on the pattern confused, watch the video, because sometimes it's better to watch somebody do it and then you do it. And if you've got the video to follow along, which you know is always on the website, you can stop and start and stop and start to get your head around it. And yeah, it's just a little bit quirky. So although it looks a really simplistic design, it's actually a little bit more complicated than you think. Now, what I really love is that you made this into a really proper big size bag, because obviously it's perfect for making into, you know, a proper size bag, if you like. That's what I just said. So you could, by the time it's made, if you can have a look at it, you'd be able to pop that over your shoulder. So think about the design. You'll see the pattern. We have actually a pattern piece, a template in the pattern itself this week, and it's always good to have a template to follow because there's no guesswork. You don't have to measure anything. Everything is created for you to make it super easy. That's the idea of a Making It Monday. And also, to have a template means it saves you time and effort measuring yourself on paper or card or even straight onto your fabric. So that's the idea behind it. So Egbert is just the sweetest little pattern. It really is. And it's actually, in my head, I know this sounds a bit weird, but in my head it represents a bunny rabbit. I know. And when I spoke to Abigail about it, she said, "Can't you make the straps more bunny ear shape?" I said, "No, because the way it's been created, the way you're going to turn it through, you need the straps to be wide at the peak here." And you'll see as we go along what I mean. Now, I've not used any stabiliser. I really don't think it needs it. It's just adding extra bulk. You can if you want to stabilise. Listen, if you're making this out of, you know, a polycotton or maybe, I was going to say organza, but that would be really wild. A very, very, very floppy, perhaps silky fabric or satin, something completely different, then please stabilise it. Use your imagination, use your initiative. But actually, for a little Easter bunny bag, for the children, for the grandchildren, listen, you could make a ton of these and put these in the garden, because you're going to get, I think I worked it out, you could probably get 3 out of a fat quarter. Obviously 3 fronts and then 3 backs, so 2 fat quarters. I think that's what I worked it out to be. So it's very cost effective and affordable, and obviously you can make tons of them. And if your village is having a little Easter egg hunt, then why don't you make a load for the village? This is not going to cost you anything. It's going to be scraps. So that's Egbert. I feel as though I've been preaching to you for the last 10 minutes. So good evening to everybody that has joined me on Facebook and YouTube. We have got, and I'm just looking at the comments here, we do have people from both. Susan says it's her first time here, really excited to join you all. From Sue in the cold and windy County Durham. Do you know, Sue, it really is windy. I went out today several times, and yeah, you really got to watch where you're driving, and you're sort of looking at the hedges and the trees around you, thinking any minute now something's going to come down on me, but thank goodness nothing did, otherwise I wouldn't be here and I'd miss it, wouldn't I? I'd like to think you would miss me too. Leanna says, love your top. Thank you very much, Leanna. Emma says, a great party bag for children. Actually, that's a good idea, Emma, because it's small. Which means if you're a cheapskate like me, no, if you are incredibly careful with your funds, you could make fabulous little gift bags. But like I say, for me, it represented a bunny. I know it's weird, but there we are. That's how I rock and roll. So let's just see if I can get you up on YouTube, just so I can see you live on YouTube. I always have, oh, there we go, come on. I always have Facebook comments fairly well on here because I can see names, unlike in my gold group, and on YouTube I can now see you, so that's lovely. So we've got Linda and Jackie and Mary and Grace and Sarah and Julie, and lots and lots of people actually on YouTube. So welcome to all of you on YouTube. On Facebook we've got Penny and Sandra. We've got Emma as well, as I just said before. They're sort of whizzing up the screen. We've got Dawn as well. So yes, it does look like bunny ears, Dawn. Yeah, that's the idea. Right, so hopefully you've downloaded the pattern, and I do appreciate, I always say to you, I do appreciate you doing that, because I'm going to put that on top of my machine, because obviously it supports the group, it supports Making It Monday, it supports watching me on TV on Facebook Watch. Ooh, does that mean I'm on big screen? It's a good job I had a wash this morning. So yeah, it supports the group, helps this keeps this going. It helps me bring in other people to design as well, because obviously I have to pay people to do that. So it really helps. I really appreciate you, and it's lovely, and I have such fun on a Monday night with you. So just to recap, for those of you that have just joined me in the last sort of 5 minutes and think, will you shut up, Lizzie, and get on with it? I just wanted to remind you about our bunny bag from last year. So this little beauty here we made last year. So look in the 2021 Mims. It's got a little face on it. And you can just draw that on. Whoops. Got flying bunnies. We've got ears. You can have pink ears or blue ears. And then obviously the tie string. And that was from last year. And then from last year also we have the carrot, and I actually quite like the carrot. When I first designed it I thought, oh, I don't know, but actually I grew to love carrot. It's called Crazy Carrot. Again, that's from last year, and that's in the 2021 Mims. And actually I made one in really sparkly white fabric for perhaps a wedding, because I think that would be quite fun, wouldn't it? Anyway, so there's carrot, but also there's teeny tiny bag, which I've always loved. You can see how boxy it is. And that is from just before Christmas. Was it the Christmas the previous year? Yes, Christmas the previous year, but they're all in 2021 folder, if you like, on the website. And that's full of eggs. Can we look? So although I did it prior to Christmas, this is just a little pink bag. So, and that's a teeny tiny bag, and I like this because it's a good size just for little mini eggs, which is exactly what it's for. You can see the egg is in there. So yeah, so take a look at those, because if you're liking your Easter projects, you know, and mind you, there's a lot of stuff in the Mims now that you could use for Easter, but these were designed specifically for Easter. Okay, so let's talk about Egbert, because he's my favourite at the moment. What's this? Somebody says gleaming. You're gleaming. Is it me? It's gleaming. I hope not. I did put a little powder on before I came on. So you will have got the pattern. And the front of Egbert, oh, okay, let's do it that way. The front of Egbert looks like that. So it's usually the regular design, what project it is, and what it's called, so you can keep it in some sort of order if you print it off. Please, please don't forget to save your downloads. It's automatic on my website. I have no control over it, that they disappear in a cloud of dust after 30 days, and my new terms and conditions say that I cannot send them out again. Okay, so please save them, otherwise they're lost forever. Well, I know they're not much money, but you know, so let's all try and save some money. So in the pattern you've got a template. I'll quickly show you a little bit of that, because I don't want anybody to copy it. Okay, so there's a little bit of a pattern going on there, and it tells you exactly what you need. 2 pieces of scrap fabric, basically, and then use the pattern to cut out your pieces. Now let's just put that to one side. So I'm going to follow the pattern. Makes it easy when yes, Prinny would make a lovely Easter basket. So if you've not seen Prinny, again, it's in MIM 2021. It was a bonus pattern, and it's probably the most made pattern that I've had. We probably had close to 300 or 400 of them made, and yeah, so Prinny, it's I actually I do have one handy. Come on a minute, I've got to just move me eggs. I have got a prinny. You can tell I use it a lot. There, there is my little prinny there. So you can see it's got everything in it bar the kitchen sink. So yes, Prinny is a good make as well. So there are lots and lots of different designs on the website that you can just have a little look at. And on the front cover now of my website is my Lizzy TV. That's taken a lot of effort. Right, so you've got the pattern piece, you've got instructions, which is you need 2 scraps of fabric, 1 outer, 1 lining, basic. Preparing the fabrics, just cut out the pattern template and follow the instructions on them to cut out the fabrics. That's it. Although it seems quite simple, the construction is interesting. So I'm going to pop you on the overhead. Let's hope it works. And there is my Egbert ready to go. Let's just move my machine a little bit out of the way. I'm a little crowded on my desk tonight. So that's the pattern. Let me just move me. Let me just move me up to the top corner. Oh no, actually I'm going to just bear with, because I'm just going to move me. There we are. It's the sort of thing I can do. And so you can see a little bit better perhaps. So that's the sort of shape we've got. When you get the pattern piece, I really want you to follow the instructions. In other words, I want you to cut on the fold this shape, and this is the section you cut away. I don't know about you, but when I kept twice, this is my pattern, and twice I cut it out where the fold was on the long end and not the short end, honestly, and I made the pattern. So I thought, right, I'm going to literally spell it out to you, that you make a letterbox, okay? So I'm going to machine all the way around. Now, if you want to, right, draw your letterbox. This is actually a particular measurement. If you get your ruler out, you'll be able to work out what it is. And you know, obviously measure against the pattern. You could draw this on here and then stitch on the drawn, just beyond the drawn line. Because I just said stitch on the line, which is actually a mistake. You don't want to do that. You want to stitch here. And the only reason I say that is if you stitch on the drawn line, your straps would be wider, okay? I mean, it's not life-threatening, but it wasn't made to be like that. So if you want to, draw your letterbox and then stitch a 1/4 inch all the way around, which is what I'm going to do now. So hopefully you can follow that. Now I'm going to try and follow my pattern and make some sense of it. So I'm going to bring my machine in. So, gosh, there's things on my back shelf I don't want you to see. So I'm just going to bring my machine in. So we're right sides together, guys. Very rarely do I stitch wrong sides together. I'm just going to move my couple of little bits on my back wall, because there's a couple of bits I don't want you to see. Secret squirrel and all. So I think in the pattern it says right sides together. Oh, it says wrong sides together. Ah, now that's interesting. That's totally my fault. No, it's definitely right sides together, because we want to turn it through. So you can all just change your. Sorry, I'm messing about. You can all change your pattern to say right sides together. And I'm just going to, like I said to you, bring my machine in, and we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch all the way around. So using my fabulous machine, and also don't worry that it's not 1/4 inch. I don't want you to measure it. I just want you to stitch, you know, if it's a 16th, fine. If it's 3/8, fine. If it's an 1/8, fine. I just want you to stitch approximately 1/4 inch around your letterbox, and use pins to hold all your layers together. You can see I've got a pin here, I've got a pin up here, there was one in the middle but I've lost it, there's one here. So just at strategic points I want you to pin it together. Yep. So let's just go around, all the way around. There we go. And I'll just go over my last couple of stitches just to make sure. I very rarely do a back stitch, but I think I like this way because it's neater. So just take our pins out. Okay, and then we've stitched, you can see we've stitched around the letterbox. And obviously what you're going to do now, well perhaps not obviously, but we're going to snip into these corners. So let's just pop you back on the overhead. So just bear with. Now on the side camera, you might have noticed I don't have my picture-in-picture. That's because the technology I changed at the weekend, and it's I still haven't quite got it right. So you'll have to forgive me for that. And I tried before I came live, but I couldn't get it to work. Oh dear. So there's my box stitch. Obviously you can't see it because I'm using cream thread. So I want you to snip into these corners here, and I want you to go as far as you dare. So perhaps leaving, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch away from the corner there. Can you see? And again on this side here. And just keep turning it round. Okay, and again. And if you want to as well, to reduce some of the bulk, you could snip some of this away as well. So just to show you what that would look like, let's just snip that there and snip that there. And just make sure we're cut in. So just so you can see that I've just kind of snipped into that to take some of the bulk away. Thank you, Abigail. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch our irons on. So they're good to go. I'm going to get my little mat, and we're literally going to turn this right side round. Now all you're going to do is poke one layer through the hole. So you're just going to bring it through. Okay, when it's at this sort of stage, so it looks like this with the two colours looking like that, you could run your iron over that seam. Okay, it does help get you a nice sort of straight seam, a flat seam. So it's just a case of running your iron over that, and it does make a difference. It's a bit like when you set a seam in quilting. It pushes the threads, the stitches, into your fabric, and it just helps everything lay a little bit flatter. Well, it's kind of similar with this. We're just flattening the seam and putting those stitches further into our fabric, and that's all that's about. So we'll keep that there. And then obviously all you're going to do is just to fold it back on itself. So again, just bring that fabric out, and I would suggest, it always looks a mess, let's just get rid of that mat for a second. I would suggest that you initially hold this together with some pins, just to keep all your layers absolutely beautiful. You spent time cutting it, so you want to make sure that it's sitting nicely and behaving. And until you press it properly, that letterbox really doesn't want to do as it's told. And if you think about it, you've used no stabiliser. So imagine what it would be like if you'd used stabiliser. It wants to fight you even more. So just bring those edges together. See what I mean? It doesn't want to go. Over here. That's it. Come along. That's it. Pinning it holds it. And again, you could do it here, because obviously you can see it wants to ruckle up. So let's just fold it over, bring our raw edges together, pop a pin in. Now look, I don't want you to top stitch unless you promise to top stitch only 1/16 of an inch. And the reason is, when you go to turn this through, and you'll see what I mean in a little while, the more fabric you take away on the straps, the harder it'll be. Okay, you want to have as much room as possible. So if you do top stitch, I want you to promise that it's a 1/16 of an inch. Where you've got a corner that doesn't want to behave, pull it out, use your finger, or if you've got one of Abigail's magic seam wands, get that in there, get the heat of the wood. So when I say heat, it's because you're using friction, and just use that to push that corner out, and it will make a difference. Or you can use Best Press. Now, Best Press, which you can get, and Abigail sometimes has it, it's a clear starch and sizing alternative. Okay, so clear starch and sizing alternative. When you buy fabrics, some of them have sizing on, and it's just part of the manufacturing process, and it's what makes them a little bit stiffer. So when you wash your fabrics, not that you'll ever probably wash this, it can go a little bit more, let's say, flimsy, not much, but it might. And a sizing is what's already kind of in the fabric. And this is a clear starch. Okay, now all that means is it's just going to put the stiffness back into your fabric. So if you have washed your fabric and it's gone slightly flimsy, please use Best Press. Okay, it's a little bit more kinder on your fabric than proper spray starch or liquid starch. Okay, and it says here no clogging, no flaking, no residue, and completely acid free. I don't sell it, I'm not promoting it, but it's important you know why you would use Best Press. You're putting something back into your fabric that you might have taken out if you pre-wash your fabrics, which of course I wouldn't even try to bother doing for something like this. Dressmaking, yes. This sort of thing, no. But you can use your Best Press because it just makes everything super duper crispy, and you can see the difference between that half and this half. I mean, it's visually you can see, and it makes a huge difference. Okay, so don't forget, the reason we use Best Press is to put back some of the stiffness into your fabric and to allow you to do kind of like a wet press without the steam. Yeah, so it's like a clear starch. It's absolutely gorgeous, and of course you've got the smell of it on your fabrics, which is even betterer. Okay, so there we are. I've spent a bit of time ironing, which I didn't mean to do, but there we are. Tricia says she's never used Best Press. Think I'm going to get some. Now you can get it in this little bottle here, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can get it in a bigger bottle. The bigger bottle has a little bit more of a ferocious spray. Okay, this is a very delicate spray, and it's very directional. So wherever you spray it, that's where it goes. With this, you want to be at more of a distance. So if you've got a big project, this size is excellent because it's more ferocious. That sounds ridiculous, but it's got more power to the spray. Well, hold on, let's just have a look. 1, 2, little, big. So, you know, horses for courses. Okay, so there we are. So that is our, in fact, I need the iron again. That is our little letterbox done. So that's lovely and neat. I can take these pins out. I do not want to keep these pins in there. So the next thing we're going to do is to actually join the side seams. Now this is the bit where it might look a little bit complicated, and I might zoom out just a wee bit. Okay, I'm going to stand up and readjust my camera. So be aware that there'll be a little bit of juddering. Let's just see. That's enough. That's enough. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do it exactly as the pattern says. Yeah, I'm going to do it exactly as the pattern says. I was just about to change it, but I don't think I will. So what you want to do is, it says here to join the right sides together, roll the fabric and bring one set of long edges together, one outer, one lining. It's clearer when you watch the video. Oh, that's me. So what we want to do is we actually want to stitch this seam on this piece of fabric here to this piece of fabric here. Okay, so let's turn that back. So what I want you to do is roll this up like that. Don't put a pin in, please don't bother. To about there-ish. And I want you to bring this top piece of fabric around the back. Okay, you with me? Flip it, and then you've got right sides together, exactly where we wanted it. Okay, has that made sense? Make sure you pin it to hold it because it will want to flip back. I'm going to do it again on the other side, so don't worry about if you think you've missed it. What we want to do now is to measure up from this bottom edge, both sides, 3 inches, and I want you to, I prefer if you made a notch, but please be careful with the size of notch that you're going to cut, because your seam allowances are only 1/4 inch. So I want you to measure up 3 inches and make a mark. Okay, just about see my mark. I want you to measure up 3 inches and make a mark. Okay, so I've got a mark there and a mark there. Happy? Yes. And then what we're going to do is, did somebody say there was a pin there? I couldn't see a pin. What we're going to do is make sure that our corners are lined up, and we're going to cut a notch in there. Now what you could do, and I'm going to turn it so you can see, is bring your corners together so they're exactly the same. Bring your run your finger up there so your notch, your area where you're going to make a notch, all those fabrics are sitting nicely. And I literally, and I want my right scissors, because these are the scissors that are amazing. I think they're out of stock now, but they cut to the tip. So I'm literally going to snip about 1/8 inch. If you want to do a V, do a V. But for me, cutting just that little bit there, and my finger is all I need. And again, on the other end, you're going to bring your corners together so they're perfect, as we like perfection sometimes. Find my notch, which is where my finger is, there. And I'm going to cut about 1/8 inch. Okay, not much more than that, there's no need. And then what we're going to do is we're going to machine from there to there. So from one notch to the next notch we're going to machine, and then we're going to iron these seams back. So it's quite a lot of work to do on that one seam. So if I bring the machine in, okay, let's do that. And I'm sorry I don't have a camera in camera. It just wasn't going to work for me today. So if we look at it, and we could pin that so it stays. So I've got my notches, can you see my where my thumb is there and where my thumb is there. So we're going to stitch from that notch to that notch, 1/4 inch, okay? Just make sure that all your fabric in that sort of little section there is out of the way. So let's start dead on the 1/4 inch. Do a little back stitch. So if you do 2 forward and 2 back, that's plenty. And then just come down that notch to notch part. So you can see by now that actually it's just a little bit more complicated than you might have thought from the picture. From the picture, it looks like something, oh my gosh, we don't need a pattern for that, that's really easy. We don't need instruction for this, this is really easy. But in actual fact, it's not as easy as you think. So that's what it looks like. Let's put you on the overhead so we can see properly. Just bear with. There we go. So there is our little sausage roll. So what I'm going to do now is get my iron and my little mat, and I'm going to turn back these. There's 4 seams there. I'm going to turn them all back 1/4 inch or thereabouts. Please don't measure them. Just go with it. So we do all of this before we turn through. Now you've seen this, I'm going to zoom in. Excuse me for leaning up, stretching over, whoops, and zooming far too much. That's it. Because now you've seen it, I'll do it again, but we'll do it a little bit more sort of close up. So this is where I stopped stitching, just there. You can see my thread, you can see my mark. And that fabric is already cut. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to still try and keep my fabric out of the way. So I don't really want to press my fabric. I'm just going to fold that back about 1/4 inch. Like I say, please don't measure it. And whatever you cut, so if you cut 1/8 of an inch, that's where it'll fold back. So, you know, just be sensible. Don't cut too much and don't cut too little. So we're going to flip it over, and on the other side, I'm going to press over the lining. So both of those now have been folded over and pressed. So on this side, I'm going to do exactly the same. Okay, fold it over and press. There we go. Let's just do that. So if it's a little wriggly, I shouldn't worry, because we're going to stitch this again. So there we are. So there's our folded over. So that's 4 seams I've folded over and pressed, or ironed I should say, so dry iron. So now all we're going to do is that we're going to pull this through. Perhaps I should have stayed out. So literally just get hold of the inside like this, and you're just going to pull all that through that's inside. And it does go, look, it's all coming out, all coming through. This is why I said you want that width on your straps, that you don't want to make them any thinner, because you've got to take all that through. So like magic, so there's the other side with our raw edges still, and there is the side where we've stitched, and we've got our turned edges beautifully there, and all this is super neat. Okay, so it's a really good way, and if you think about it and you make a bigger one, this is a really good way of making a bigger bag. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out again because that's too near, you can't see everything, so bear with while I wriggle the camera. That's it, and you can see better. Some of these things you want to see close, and some of these things you want to you want to see the whole thing, blah blah blah. Okay, so Emma says, thank goodness you didn't use interfacing. Penny has dropped. The light bulb moment has happened. Imagine if this was all stabilised and you had to pull that through. Okay, it would be a different ball game. So once again, we've got our raw edges here. These are our stitched edges and our folded over pressed edges. This is our raw edges. So guess what we're going to do? Yes, you've guessed it. We're going to roll this up. We're going to roll it towards us like that. Okay? And I'm going to take the top layer, which is my outer fabric. I'm going to come round. I'm going to flip it and bring my right sides together with my lining. Now, does that make sense now? How would I have explained that in a pattern? You tell me. Because if you do, you can write my patterns from now on. So I'm just going to pop a pin here. Sometimes it's really hard to get the right words to make it make sense. And I thought, you know what? The video is going to do all that for us. So that's why I wasn't bothered. So I've pinned along here, but actually I really want to now mark my notches because that's where I'm going to stitch. So 3 inches, and you can see that it's a particular shape as well. So bear that in mind. Nothing is ever as simple as you think it might be. So there's my notches there and there. So now I'm going to snip into those with my special scissors. Again, whatever you snip will be what your seam will fold over to. So let's make it less than 1/4 inch. We don't want to see any raw edges anywhere. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is stitch from here to here, and then I'm going to fold those back. Yeah. Oh, who says that? Anne says she likes my Diddy ruler. Do you know what? I do love my small rulers. They really are handy for these types of things, and also when you're on your desk and you've run out of space. These small rulers are brilliant. So once again, you can see I've got my tube. There we are. Let's just bring it in so you can see. And I'm going to stitch from notch to notch. So let's pop it under the machine. Take your pins out if you feel brave. If not, just move them along so they're out of your way. Oops, where's my scissors gone? And I'm just finding the edge of my line. So 2 stitches in, 2 stitches back, and that's all you need. We don't need great big long back stitches, just not make our work ugly. And just make sure that all the fabric inside the tube, so in here, is out of the way. We don't want to stitch that. I don't want to see that stitch unpicker for a little project like this. No need. More complicated projects? Probably. So 2 stitches back is all we need. That was 3. And there's our piece stitched, and now I'm going to iron each end. Okay, so Patsy says I'm still having problems with the binding from a 10-inch square. That's what we did in the Gold Club though, wasn't it? I think that was what we did in the Gold Club. We learned how to cut a continuous piece of binding from a 10-inch square, and it really is good fun, and it's nice to keep revisiting these things to remind us that these things are possible. Yeah, and we enjoy those sort of things in the Gold Club. Anyway, so now what we're going to do is fold these edges back again, just like we did before. So you've got 4 to do, 2 on the outer, 2 on the lining. So let's just do that. It's a bit wonky, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. If you want to make it perfect, you do that. And spend time on it, but I just want you to remember what it is. Okay, this is not a hat for Ascot. This is just a little bag to put your Easter eggs in. Has anybody ever made a hat for Ascot? I haven't. I've never done anything like. I've never done any millinery. Made lots of other things, but not I can't even say it. Millinery. Yeah. Actually, I quite like hats. Yeah, I do. I quite like hats. So, right, let's carry on. So look, we've done the same as exactly what we did before. If that's totally confused you, please, please, please watch the video again and grasp it and listen carefully. Okay, roll raw edges, roll it towards you, bring the top over, round to the back, join your joining right sides together. Okay, so now we've got it in this state, we want to turn it through, and literally it's exactly the same. You're just grabbing hold and you're just pulling it through. And it's not quite the same as a tube because obviously everything is joined on this end, but remarkably it does pull through, she says. So be careful, you don't want to break your stitches because otherwise you'll have to undo it again and restitch. So let's just ease it through. So can you imagine interfacing? It's like, hello, no thanks. So there we are. Obviously you've got to work at it. Okay, there we go. So there is the big amount of work done. Ideally now you're going to give this a press, and we'll give it a quick press because at this stage we've still got the opportunity to make it crease free, considering we've just turned it through on itself. Just remember to keep those 1/4 inch creases that you did there, so you don't want to unfold those and iron those out. You want them to be nice. If you can, just roll these edges. I'm sorry if you saw me lick my fingers. I'm sorry, you know full well that's the only way you can get a seam out. And something I could never have done on TV. We were always tempted. You got your fingers just there ready to lick, and you can't do that on TV. Can you imagine? Think of the emails I'd have got. Oh dear. Oh, I'm already stressed thinking about it. So tuck your little 1/4 inch seams in, keep them nice and flat, and give it a press. There we go. Lovely. Super job. Right, so now we've got a beautiful, beautiful, very neat, well, not a bag yet, is it? So now we need to make it into a bag, yeah? So what we need to do is bring right sides together. Okay, so this is your right side. Likewise, the lining is your right side. You're just bringing it over on itself. There's pictures of this in the pattern. Don't worry about the lining at the moment. Please don't worry about the lining at the moment. Line these up so your corners, your points, if you like, are perfectly matched. Keep it neat. A lot of this is actually to do with your cutting and whether your cutting was accurate. But don't forget, we're only making a little Easter bag. So now what you've got is, forget about the lining part, forget about this top bit here, forget about that. We've now got 2 layers sitting on top of each other, okay? I'm going to zoom in. This is where you need a bit of zoomy. So let's just zoom you in, so bear with. Okay, lovely, 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 lovely. So that's what it looks like. So there's your top bit, okay? We're not interested in that. All we're interested in is this. So we're going to stitch from here, from there, down, across and up. You are not going to open these seams, okay? You are not going to open these seams. You're top stitching your folded edges together, okay? So you've got your folded edges, you're top stitching these folded edges together, and you're starting, and if you did this accurately, you're starting exactly where you finish stitching here. Now personally I would start where I can see what I'm doing, and I'd put my needle exactly where I want it to be, which is right in there, and I'm going to stitch as close as I can to the folded edges. So this really is about 1/16 of an inch, because you want it to be as neat as you possibly can be here. So down, across 1/4 inch seam allowance, perfectly fine, and then up to here, okay? And then we're going to do the same for the lining. So although, like I said, you know, many times now, this looks initially like a really, really simple pattern, but there is more to it than meets the eye, as they say. So I'm just going to pop this under my needle, and I'm going to put my needle in manually, okay, because I want it to be exactly, I don't want to catch my yellow fabric, so I don't want to be catching this. So I've got a thread of fabric away from that yellow fabric. So I'm going to go forward 2, back 2, and then I'm going to stitch. And like I said, you're top stitching the folded edges together. And then you're going across the bottom, your regular 1/4 inch. Take my pin out there. Try and keep your fabrics lined up as best you can. Coming up to the other side. So don't forget, you are top stitching your folded edges together. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. But if you go wrong, and this is maybe where you're going to go wrong, because you'll think you need to open those seams up, but you don't. I thought of several different ways you could do this. And so 2 stitches, and then I'm going to go forward like that again. Just 2 stitches for back stitching, please. Yes, now Lucy says on YouTube, I agree, Lizzie, a large bag made in this fashion would be great. Yes, so think about the shape of your design, the pattern piece that you're getting in the pattern, and think about how you're going to enlarge it. You can do that on a photocopier, but perhaps you'd be better taking it to a printer, or using if you join together about 3 or 4 pieces of A4 paper, you could draw it out, and you've got all the measurements, so just use your mathematics to calculate it. So you've stitched down here, you stitched across, and you stitched up. So now we're going to stitch our lining. If you wanted to, you could put these straps, you know, you can tuck them inside to get them out of the way. You could pin them, whatever is comfortable for you, but you just need to get them out of the way, okay? You don't want to be stitching on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly the same the other side. So bring your folded edges together, okay, and you're going to stitch, let me turn it so it's better for you. You're going to stitch down both your sides about 1.5 inches, stop, turning gap. It doesn't have to be that big, it can be, I don't know, I think I said 2-3 inches or something, and then 1.5 inches or so again, and then up this side. Okay, I think we're okay with the pattern saying that, but like I said, just make sure that your straps are out of the way. So let's just get my needle where I want it to be. So I'm manually putting that in. I want it to be as neat as I possibly can. Put the foot down. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're top stitching those folded edges together. And then we're going along the bottom about, well, 1.5 inches, let's say. Okay, so I've stopped stitching there, so I'm just going to move it across. Keep your folded edges together so it's nice and neat. Make sure your straps are out of the way, and start stitching around about 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the edge. So a couple of little back stitches again, up to the sides, and then get those edges together. That's it, and then, oops, I went right off the edge there. That's because it's a 1/16 of an inch, so you want to watch it. I'm not saying it's you know, the easiest thing to do. So try and keep them together. Back stitch, and if you do trap your straps, this is just a little couple of stitches you need to snip. So really, in effect, you've gone all the way along there, but I'd rather you did it in 2 jumps, and we've left a turning gap just here. Look, let's just do that. Okay, turning gap. So now what you want to do is box the corners off, and I've asked you to measure 1 inch from the point. Now the point the point will be where you stitch. So if I draw on my fabric, oh gosh, that's rubbish, bit of drawing. So your point is there, not here. Okay, your point is where you've been stitching. So I'm just going to kind of guesstimate it. I've got a mark on my machine actually that I use. So each one of these, excuse me, each one of these corners is going to be boxed, and it's about 1 inch. If you could go smaller because it's quite boxy. Try to get all your seams lined up and just go across. Now, like I said before, I haven't backstitched because A, this is just the lining, and B, this is just an Easter bunny bag. So it depends on, if you're pedantic with your stitching, you might want to do your back stitching to make it super strong. Probably better to do it on the outer than the lining. Oops, drop the feed dog, because that won't do. Straight across. So I've just stitched across here, yeah? So do measure it, and then you're going to do the same on your outer fabric, this fabric here. So again, just pop your finger into the point. Try to get the seams to match. It's always nice to get that to match, but I'm not going to worry too much when I'm demonstrating, because you can, I'm going to do a back stitch. You can do this super neat. So let's just do a back stitch. I mean, to be honest, it's only going to carry a few eggs, so it doesn't need to be super duper strong. And then again, box this corner out and just try to get your seams lined up as best you can. You know, you could use a pin. I keep dropping my feed dogs. You can use a clip, whatever it is, whatever you want to use to make this accurate and super neat. And then let's go back about a couple of stitches and cut our threads. Okay, so that's what it looks like. We've just gone literally across there. And like I keep saying, it's really important that you remember that this is just an Easter egg bag. This is not an exhibition piece. We've got to remember what we're making, folks. Right, so there we are, the perfect bag. No, okay, so we're going to turn it through. Obviously, if you want now, right, okay. Now somebody will say, oh, but you haven't cut your corners off. No, I don't. I certainly don't on little bags like this. Do you know why? Let me show you. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's on top of my machine. Because you see this bit here, if you get your V's that you've stitched to lie in here, you're actually giving the base of your bag a little bit more structure and strength. So you've got 2 layers of V's under here, right? And look at that for matching up. I just want to show off there. Just have a look at that. So your V's, if you can, get them to lie that way, not up the side of your bag here, but on the bottom. And that actually gives it a little bit more structure. Okay? I'll put that back on my machine. Yeah, so that's why I don't cut my corners off, because somebody will tell me that I haven't done that, and that is totally deliberate. But like I said, please make sure you have them going along the base and not the side. So let's just turn that through. That's not bad, look. It's not bad. And there we are. Look, you can see how lovely and neat that is. I've got no worries about showing you that without checking it first. No worries at all. Look how super neat that is. Absolutely gorgeous. But what it has done is giving us a really nice flat bottom, which is what we need. And then of course we've got to stitch the turning gap, which you know I hate doing, but I will do it. I'm sighing because I hate doing turning gaps. It's so boring. Having made a lovely project, then you've got to stitch the turning gap. So it's so boring. So so what you can do is you can pop that under the machine. Okay, so just pull this, get both ends to go in. You could iron these as well, like we did last week with Kath's project. Iron them, and then we'll give it a little stitch along the bottom there. I suppose I should do it, shouldn't I? So I'm using my nails just to press it. And you could use your super duper magic seam wand and actually just press it with that, because you're putting friction and heat onto here through your fabric, it actually does make a good job of pressing it. Look, that's ridiculously sharp. You could cut your finger on that fold. Okay, so let's just go back to the front camera here, because what I'll do is I'll just quickly stitch my turning gap. Because listen, I know my admin team will be saying to me, Lizzie, when are you going to start stitching your turning gaps? And I say never, right? Because that's the kind of gal I am. There's bags that I've given to people that still have the turning gap. That's not my responsibility, is it? I've gone so far. I've gone so far, and that's it. That's enough. Sometimes I do. I didn't with the samples. Yeah, I suppose because I'm so used to sample making that, and then like on TV, you don't see whether she's stitched the turning gap. Oh my gosh. There we go. Anyway, with a press, you know, it's with a press. Now, if you have used or going to be using directional fabric, you need to, on the short end where the fold would be, to lengthen that by a quarter of an inch on all of your pieces, because your seams will be here along the top here. Now, because this is directional fabric with the little sheepies on, the little lambs, there's a seam here, so open those seams up to distribute the fabric, because that could be quite bulky if you're not careful. And there's quite a difference between having a seam there and not having a seam there. Isn't that the cutest thing? I love it so much. So this is the little one we've just made, and again you can just slip your strap through your strap, so you've got it so it looks like that. Let me just poke that out because that's it. Okay, so you can see how big it is. Let me turn it around. See how big it is? It's wide. The bottom is nice boxy bottom. I wanted it to sit flat on my desk. So yeah, I wanted that boxy bottom. You don't have to do that. And in actual fact, try it. Don't box the corners. Turn it through, see what you think. I didn't like it like that. And the pattern hasn't been designed to be like that. Otherwise it had been a bit more sort of square on the bottom, but it's got a definite shape to it. Is it a trapezium? Anyway, so you can, a bit like a Japanese knot mag, although the straps are exactly the same length, you can just feed it through and you've got a hot cross bun bag. Actually, a hot cross bun would fit into that. Or you can fill it with mini eggs. You can also pop a popper there. Okay, pop a popper in the middle, just there. Okay, if you want. I don't, you could put a button in a loop. You could put a snap, like a press stud, a proper old-fashioned press stud. You can just leave it as it is. You can do it so when you fold this and when you put it together, that the edges go inside rather than out. I'll get this right in a minute. So it looks like that. Yeah. So there's lots of ways you can present it. Also, I was thinking, as you do when you've made something, you see where the little sort of straps start. You could put a little bow there. If you've made, if your stitching is not quite what you thought, put hot glue gun or stitch a button or a bow or something like that, and that would be absolutely gorgeous to have that as a little Easter gift. I would love it. If that came through the post to me or somebody delivered that to my door, I would love it. And then, of course, you can fill it with eggs. Well, obviously, you don't have to open the packet, but I had to do some scientific market research. And so all of the eggs... Oh, okay, not many. All of the eggs will sit in there and give it some weight. And I think that looks fab. So I hope you enjoy making Egbert. I just love the name. It just came to mind when I was making it. And like I said, from humble beginnings, where at the beginning of the video you thought, I don't need a pan for that, I can knock that up, no problem. Well, of course you could if you're experienced. If you're a beginner, perhaps you won't. But if you can imagine trying to think through all of those techniques that I've taught you tonight, oh my gosh, you're a better person than me. So it's worth £1 just to download the pattern, to get the template and to get the written instructions, and then to watch the video. I think it's incredible value for money. So there we are. Emma says I did too much research. Listen, it was my birthday Saturday, as all of you know. Thank you so much for your messages. And I had a weekend of birthday, like birthday weekend. So I had... like an Indian takeaway. I had some chocolate Easter eggs. I had some Cadbury's mini eggs, are my absolute favourite. Don't ever buy me any. So I ate a whole packet of them. So I did have a birthday weekend, which is spilled a little bit over in today because I had cake with my 2 lovely daughters this morning. So I need to be good now because I was doing well up until birthday. So there we are. So again, a little bit later than normal, I do apologise, but that's a lovely little pattern. Don't forget to have a little look on the website because there's other Easter patterns as well, like our crazy carrot, fill it with eggs, our teeny tiny bag, which is actually it was more of a Christmas tree hanging bag. Yeah, that's why it's got big straps. But actually, look, you can see how boxy it is. It's really quite a big mini bag. You can fill that with eggs. Look, in there. Lint. I can, you know, come on. Class. And then the bunny bag. And like I said, if I open it up, you can see he's got a little face. So I can't remember if I drew. Yeah, I drew that. So it's not brilliant, but the first one I did, I embroidered. And of course you can make his ears pink or blue. I think the first one I did was blue. This is one I made up on the video. And it's obviously we've got pink ears. So don't forget there's other Easter makes on the website. So we've got MIM 2021, which all of the last year's and the year before's MIMs are on. And we've got MIM 2022, which is all the current makes. Don't ask me to name them because I couldn't possibly do that. There's now 7. And also, don't forget to look on the main website for other little projects that you might look at. For instance, Prinny, although Prinny is on the Making It Monday pages as well. Look in the pound shop because that's where all the MIMs are as well. There's lots and lots of places to look on the website for all those sort of different patterns. And actually, and I keep saying this to Kath, that we're going to rewrite the older ones again, and I need to do it because then they become fresh and a little bit more up to date. Don't forget also that I have Lizzy TV on the front of my website. There are 2 videos on there, so have a look. The one that I recorded on Sunday afternoon is my haul, if you like, that I got from the textile fair on Saturday. And the first minute you got a double sound, and so because I'm still testing the equipment, but that corrects itself. I clicked a few buttons and it corrected itself. So please have a watch. Please have a look on the front screen of my website and have a little look, because it's quite entertaining if nothing else. And can you see all of that behind me? The sari silks. Now the sari silks, which are utterly delicious, I'm going to do a live broadcast on my website so everybody can join in. If they don't do Facebook or YouTube, people miss out, and there's a lot of people that don't do Facebook and YouTube. We're going to make some bowls for La La Land using the sari silks, okay? And I'm going to do a live broadcast showing how I make them. So I don't think I've got, oh yeah, I have got one on my desk. Just hold on. So this is a little one. Oh my gosh, it's full of clips. Wait for it. So this is the sort of bowl we'll make. They'll be a little bit bigger than this. This is just plain cord, but what we're going to do is wrap the sari silks around the cord, and we're going to make a bowl similar to this, but a little bit bigger, bit wider, bit taller maybe, to go in the middle of the tables at La La Land. So they'll probably be filled with sweets or something like that. I haven't decided yet. I haven't asked Abigail. Need Abigail's permission because it's her do. So I'm going to do that live on the website. But what I'm going to do is, so you don't miss it, I'm going to send an email out. Now I've got, I think, about 4,000 people on that subscribe to say they'd be happy to have an email. So hopefully you're amongst them. If not, subscribe, and then you'll get the email to say I'm going to go live, I don't know, week next Saturday or whatever, whenever it is. I don't want you to miss out. And the thing about the lives on the website is that you can comment at the time, but afterwards all the comments drop off into a black hole. I don't know. I'm going to speak to the website builders to find out why that happens. But what do you want from me? Sweets. Sweets in the bowls, Abigail. What do you want from me? Yeah, just sweets. We don't mind what. You can save all your Easter eggs and we'll have them, Abigail. So don't forget to book your tickets, because actually we've only got a handful left now. We're going to have 200 people. We're going to have 200 people. I know Peter's coming with his wife Elaine. I think he's the only gentleman. I can't swear on it. So we've got 200 ladies, including Peter, coming to Birmingham, and there is literally a handful of tickets left. Abigail has created a group. Don't ask me what it is. If somebody's got time, they can put the link on here. So if you are going and you've bought your ticket, you can join this special group and you can find people that are going from your area. Because if there's 200 people coming, there's bound to be somebody coming past your motorway. You know, come on, it must be. And please look, be proactive. You look for people. Don't say, I need a lift from Suffolk. Look through all the comments yourself and see if somebody says, oh, I'm coming from Ipswich, or I'm coming from Stowmarket, or I'm coming from Bury St Edmunds. And then hook up, okay, hook up. So you be responsible for yourself and look through the comments and see if anybody has said somewhere close to you. Even if it's like, I'm coming from Norfolk, it could be convenient that they can come and pick you up. If you don't see anybody, then obviously you're going to put, please can somebody pick me up, I live in Norwich or wherever. I'm only saying this because it's all local to me and I can remember. I don't remember towns anywhere else. Oh, Gemma's put the link, thank you. But you can only join if you've bought a ticket. It's a secret group for La La Land. And like I said, tickets are selling like hotcakes now. We're selling tickets every day. So I don't want you to miss out. It's going to be fantastic. And if it's successful, possibly we might do it next year. It depends if we want any sleep, basically, because it's been a lot in the planning. We had a board meeting this morning at the cafe, and yes, we discussed a lot about sort of size cake we were eating and all that sort of thing. So there we are. I'm going to leave it there because otherwise I'm rabbiting. Right, so this is Egbert. This is Project 7 in 2022. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you make a lot. I really want to see a lot of these because this is actually quite an easy project. Even though I've been saying to you there's a lot of technicalities. Yes, of course there is. But once you've grasped it, you'll be able to knock these up in 10 minutes. Well, maybe 15. Make a load. Sell them, fill them with eggs, give them to the children next door, put them as secret Easter gifts around your village, have an egg hunt where you're using something like this to keep the eggs clean, because obviously, you know, you don't know what's about these days. Gift them, make some for your school, make some for the craft fair that you've got coming up. There's all sorts of different things you can do with a simple bag like this. And actually, make it in Christmas fabric and use it to hang on the tree. Think about it. Hang it on the tree. Do it like a Japanese knot bag and you've got it so it hangs on the tree. Yeah? Christmas fabric. Come on, let's do it. All right. So don't forget to go and have a look at those videos. And there isn't anywhere you can comment, but what you can do is you can go onto the Wix chat and you can leave me a little message to say what we thought of it. There's a couple on there. Have a look. Right, so I'm going to love you and leave you. I shall see you all. Right, so in the gold group, I will see you all on Friday. We've got Jackie Joseph as our TV celebrity guest on Friday. She's an old mucker of mine. We're going to have a ball. And also, if you're not a Goldie, I'll see you next Monday. Bye, everybody.